We're on the record. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with DC Code Section 2571(h) of the Open Meetings Act, OMA, I'm welcoming you to the regular scheduled meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to guidance made available by the District of Columbia's Office of Open Government regarding electronic meetings held by public bodies. Electronic meetings by the ABC Board are authorized pursuant to Section 2577A of the DC Code. Pursuant to the OMA requirements, notice of today's meeting was provided 48 hours in advance of the meeting on ABCA's website and on the District Central meeting calendar. The notice includes the time, date, agenda, and call-in or login information for public participation. This electronic meeting is being hosted by a WebEx account provided by the District of Columbia government. Please address any questions or complaints to the OOG at opengovoffice@dc.gov. My name is Donovan Anderson. I'm chairperson of the board. I would like to introduce the other members of the ABC board who are also participating electronically. Please respond when I announce your names. Mr. Silas Grant.
Mr. Silas Grant, present.
Mr. David Meadows.
Mr. David Meadows, present.
The board has 3 members in attendance for the conduct of business, and that constitutes a quorum. Before we get underway with today's hearing calendar, I need to make instructions very clear so the conduct of these hearings is understood by everyone. There are actually 3 cases scheduled for this afternoon's calendar. Once your case is called, I will take a moment for IT specialists to elevate the rights for each party to enable their camera and microphone. Then and only then will you have the ability to enable your equipment. Should you have any questions or require any technical assistance during the hearing, please submit them using the question and answer session. All right, so let me call out the cases. There's actually 3 cases on the calendar, but we're having 1 actual case. So let me call the other 2 cases that are canceled. The first case is summary action matter case number 24 ULC 00043 Safe House. This is an unlicensed cannabis retailer. The hearing has been continued to December 12th at 10:30 a.m. at the request of the parties. The next case is case number 24 ULC 00041 Supreme Clientele, unlicensed cannabis retailer. This case has been canceled and an offer in compromise has been provided to the board for its review and consideration. So the only case on our calendar this afternoon is a summary action matter for case number 24 ULC 00036 Cannabis Karma Life Lux, unlicensed cannabis retailer. Good afternoon, Mr. Oriana. Can you please elevate the rights of the government and the other parties in this case?
Good afternoon. Richard Bianco, your access has been elevated. Amber Maiden, your access has been elevated. Princess Marable, your access has been elevated. David Hale, access has been elevated. Shawnee Brown, access has been elevated. And Supervisor Investigator Jason Prue, access has been elevated. That appears to be all, Chairman.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. Can we have everyone on camera, please? All right, so we'll start with the government. Ms. Brown, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Good morning. This is Assistant Attorney General Shani Brown, that's spelled SHANI-BROWN, here on behalf of the district.
All right. I guess I was not aware, Mr. Bianca, are you the attorney representing the applicant?
I'm not. I am the attorney representing the property owner. So my name is
Okay.
Richard Bianco, Richard, last name Bianco. And I represent Dr. Morris, who owns the improved real property at 825 Upshur Street Northwest.
And Ms. Maribel, is Ms. Maiden representing you or you're representing yourself, ma'am?
Miss Maiden is representing me.
Ms. Maiden, can you please spell and state your name for the record and your relationship? You're on mute, Ms. Maiden. You have Mr. Arya, are you able to unmute Miss Maiden? I guess she's saying she's unable to unmute herself. I don't know what's you are. I think
Okay.
you're.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead,
me
ma'am.
now?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Amber Maiden, and I am counsel for Ms. Mirabal with regard to this action.
Can you spell your name for the record, ma'am?
AMBERMAIDEN.
Miss Maribel, can you please spell and state your name for the record and your relationship?
Princess Maribel. I'm the owner of Life Luxy, the store at 825 Upshur Street.
Spell your name for the record, please.
PRINCESSMIRAB as in boy AL.
Miss Maiden, who is Miss Hale?
Miss Hale is a witness that I would like to
Oh.
call.
Okay, we don't have to. She doesn't have to identify herself at this moment. All right. Miss, good afternoon, Miss Brown. Are there any preliminary matters in this case?
No, but I would like to just confirm that my other witness, Investigator David Leedy, that he's on the line as well.
I don't know who is on the line. Is he in the waiting room?
Okay.
Okay, it appears someone was elevated. Okay, fine. All right. So you're saying so there are no preliminary matters on your part, and Miss Maiden, are there any preliminary matters?
No.
Mr. Bianco, are there any preliminary matters you wish to raise?
No, sir.
All right. I guess this matter takes the format as a show cause hearing, and so the government will.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a share screen function with regard to this?
If you need to share information, ma'am, you ask permission, and I will allow. I'll ensure that occurs. So if at some point you need to share your screen, then you just need to ask permission from me, and I'll ask our AT specialist to allow you to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So as I stated before, um, this takes the format of a show cause hearing, and so the government goes first. I've not, and I believe that I guess Mr. Bianco, you represent the landlord. So what is just, I mean,
No, I mean, I think I see where you're going, and I think it's a fair place to go. And the answer is probably nothing. The landlord has an interest here to the extent that that he wants the establishment to operate in a legal and safe manner, and then number two is a side issue, be able to collect the rent in the future. Those things aren't really necessarily at issue today, but the landlord is a named party, does have an interest in the proceedings, and that's the reason why we're here. I most likely won't speak up or take a position on any of the issues that are in front of the board unless it's something that may directly impact my client. So I don't have any witnesses. I don't intend to present any evidence, but reserve the right to ask questions and make argument if something comes up that impacts my client.
all right. Thank you for that representation, Mr. Bianco. All right. Ms. Brown, do you wish to make an opening statement?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, I do.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, board members. We are here today because after multiple opportunities to correct its behavior, Life Lexi / Cannabis Karma, located at 825 Upshur Street Northwest, insisted on operating as an unlicensed cannabis retailer. You will hear from ABCA Supervisory Investigator Jason Peru that he discovered that Cannabis Karma was selling cannabis at least as far back as March of 2024. He will tell you that after issuing the establishment and warning letter, it continued to sell cannabis without a license. And subsequently, this board issued an order to Cannabis Karma directing it to cease and desist that conduct. Investigator Peru will remind you that this board afforded Cannabis Karma an opportunity to contest that cease and desist order, and that this board, after a full hearing, issued an order affirming its cease and desist order, but Cannabis Karma just could not stop selling cannabis without a license. You will learn from both Investigator Peru and Metropolitan Police Department Investigator David Leedy that just last month, Cannabis Karma sold cannabis to an undercover buyer. They will tell you that the cannabis flower tested positive for THC, and Investigator Leedy will tell you that as a result of that purchase, MPD was able to obtain and execute a search warrant for the premises. He will testify about the various cannabis products and related items that were seized pursuant to that warrant. And further, Investigator Peru will tell you that the establishment was padlocked on October 17th, and yet, still to this day, Cannabis Karma continues to advertise and sell cannabis and cannabis products. At the close of the evidence, it will be clear to the board that summary closure is the only viable solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Maiden, do you wish to make an opening statement at this juncture, or you can defer until you present your case, ma'am?
I would like to go ahead with the case presentation.
All right, so you're going to defer, so you're going to make an opening statement when you present your case?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Does the government have a witness they wish to call?
Yes, the district would like to call Investigator Jason Peru.
Mr. Peru, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, your witness.
Thank you. Investigator Peru, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
It's a supervisory investigator, Jason Peru, JASONPERU,
Where are you currently employed?
with the District of Columbia Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration.
And what is your position with ABCA?
Supervisory investigator in enforcement.
How long have you held that position?
I've been with the ABCA for 11 years. I've been a supervisor for 6 years.
And what are your duties as a supervisory investigator?
To supervise other line investigators and to conduct inspections of licensed and unlicensed cannabis businesses in the District of Columbia.
Hold on a minute, Miss Brown. Miss Maiden, can you mute your line, please? And if you need to make an objection, ma'am, you need to remember to unmute your line, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Miss Brown.
Investigator Peru, are you familiar with an establishment going by the name as Life, Luxy, or Cannabis Karma?
I am.
How are you familiar with this establishment?
It was one of the unlicensed businesses that were on a list that we had for enforcement and for inspections.
And did there come a time when you had to conduct an investigation into Cannabis Karma?
Yes, there was.
And for what reason did you have to investigate Cannabis Karma?
It was I compiled a list of unlicensed businesses in the District of Columbia selling unlicensed cannabis, and Cannabis Karma was on that list.
Did you create a case report for your investigation?
I did.
I would like permission to share my screen.
Mr. Oriana, can you allow Miss Brown to share her screen?
Access has been granted.
Thank you, sir.
Now showing you what has been marked as government exhibit number 1. Do you recognize this exhibit, Investigator Peru?
I cannot see anything at the moment. I see a white screen only.
It says you're sharing your screen, so you probably need to open the document.
It is open. I will try again. Can you see the document?
Could be network connectivity. Oh,
It's now. It's not. Yeah. It's now open, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Investigator Peru, do you recognize this document?
I do.
Okay, and what is this document?
This is the case report that I drafted.
Why did you create this case report?
This is the case report that I submitted to OAG for closure, documenting my investigative history on the establishment.
And now for the record, I'd just like to note that this is a part of the record already under 22 DCMR section 9715.10.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, Investigator Peru, to begin with, can you outline the steps of your investigation into Cannabis Karma?
So I am part of and head up the multi-agency cannabis task force, and as part of that task force, I've been compiling a list of unlicensed cannabis operators in the District of Columbia. And during this time, Cannabis Karma was on the list for inspections. So once I have the list, the task force, which includes members of Department of Health, members of DC Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection, and members of MPD. And we go around to different businesses in the district to conduct inspections. During the inspections, per the statute, my first visits required a warning to be issued to the business. In this case, my first visit was March 27th to Cannabis Karma, where I issued a warning to the business for selling unlicensed cannabis product and not having a cannabis retail license with the district and with ABCA.
And is this the warning letter you issued that you attached as Exhibit 1 to your report?
Exhibit 1. Yes, it is the warning, March 27th. Yes, correct.
Okay. And what occurred on the day that you issued this warning letter?
So after I met with the manager, I explained to the manager why the task group was there. I explained that the warning letter basically said you had 14 days to come into compliance. There's only two ways to come into compliance. One would be to shut down operations of unlicensed cannabis sales, and the second would be to obtain a cannabis retail license, which obviously cannot be obtained immediately. I also spoke to the owner that day and explained to her the same process. Explained to her that ABCA had licensing periods that were opening up and that were currently open, and that she could apply if she wanted to during these periods. I issued a warning letter and I left the establishment.
Okay. And did you also advise the establishment of what would happen if they failed to comply with the warning letter?
Correct. Once again, I explained that you have 14 days to come into compliance, and if you continued operations and found to be continue to operate, you could then lead to the next step, which could be cease and desist. And in this case, I did return to the business on Tuesday, July 2nd, to conduct a follow-up inspection with the multi-agency cannabis enforcement team, and found that the establishment was still operating and selling cannabis products. So I drafted a case report to the board, who then on July 10th issued a cease and desist against Cannabis Karma. I served that cease and desist on July 11th with MPD.
And is
And
this the
then,
order
I'm
to
sorry,
cease and desist that you attached to your report as Exhibit 3?
order the cease and desist? Yes, it is.
Okay. And after you issued this order to the establishment, what occurred next?
Well, the establishment has the right to a hearing, which they did request a hearing. Um, and after the hearing, on August 7th, the ABC board issued an order affirming the cease and desist order. So once I learned of that, once you can see the date, August 7th, the hearing was affirmed. It wasn't until September 15th that I circled back to see if Cannabis Karma was still selling cannabis products.
Okay, and just quickly, is this the order affirming the board's order to cease and desist that you attach as Exhibit 4 to your report?
Can you go back to the top of the document, please, just so I can just read the...
Sure. I don't know. I've scrolled all the way up. I don't know if I need to zoom in. Does that help?
No, I think there's a delay
Okay,
stuck on the screen. There we go. Border of order affirming. Yep, that's the document.
wonderful. Okay, so once the board entered this order affirming the order to cease and desist, what occurred next?
Like I said, there was a time lapse until I circled back and checked Cannabis Karma's website, and I noticed that they continued to sell cannabis product and a variety of cannabis flower online. So at that point, I coordinated with members of MPD's Narcotics Enforcement Unit to conduct an undercover operation to determine if, in fact, Cannabis Karma was selling product out of that store.
Now, you mentioned that in order to get to that next step where you are going to organize this undercover buy, you looked at the establishment's website. Now, these exhibits 5, 6, and 7 that you attached to your report, did these depict what you saw on the website, starting with Exhibit 5?
I'm sorry, there's a delay. I don't see it popping up on the screen as of yet.
Okay.
There we go. Yes, that is the pictures that I screenshotted from the website.
And what did they state as their mission on this page?
Well, this says our mission is to provide good vibes, events to the community in a serene environment while normalizing the adult consumption of cannabis.
Okay. And now Exhibit 6 of your report. Let me know when you can see it.
Exhibit 6 is when you click on the website to the store, it provides you with the different strains of cannabis flower. The hybrid, which is a blend, and indica and sativa.
Okay. And lastly, Exhibit 7 that you attached to your report. Let me know when you can see it.
Exhibit 7 was me adding items to the cart to see that I could actually follow through with purchasing product possibly.
Okay. And were you able to do that?
I was able to do that, correct.
Okay. And so you were explaining what occurred after you viewed the website. What occurred next?
Yes, so after viewing the website, I coordinated with MPD members of the Narcotics Enforcement Unit to conduct an undercover operation to attempt to do a purchase. I coordinated with them on, I believe, like October 9th, and I was notified once the purchase was complete that they successfully did that and that they tested the product for THC. And at that point in time, I drafted a case report to the OAG's office for closure.
Okay. And after that case report was submitted, did there come a time when Cannabis Karma was closed?
Yes. Cannabis Karma, after once I received the OAG notice of closure, myself and members of MPD served the closure notice on the business.
And what date was the establishment padlocked?
The establishment was closed and padlocked on October 17th.
Is Life Luxy / Cannabis Karma a licensed cannabis retailer in the district?
They are not.
Is it eligible for licensure?
The location is not eligible for licensure based on another retailer being within 400 feet, which is really next door at 827 Upshur.
Okay. And since the date of the closure, have you gathered any additional evidence to show that the establishment has continued to sell cannabis?
Yes, I frequently have checked the website, and they continue to offer the same products on their website. Additionally, I have been by Upshur Street 825 at the last time this morning, actually, to make sure that the building is secured. And Cannabis Karma continues to post stickers on the window showing a QR code to scan to get to their website, and to showing a website itself with the name on it on how to get there. I've removed the stickers in the past because they were around my closure notice, and the stickers still show back up. But that is as earlier as this morning. I was doing an inspection actually at the new retailer next door, and I observed signage on the windows.
And did you do anything to memorialize what you saw at the storefront?
I checked the website to confirm to see if it was accurate, and it was. It links to the Cannabis Karma storefront again, which offers for sale cannabis products.
Okay. And did you take any photographs
Of the storefront or of the website?
of the storefront?
Yes, I did take a photograph of the storefront.
Okay, now showing you what has been marked as government exhibit number 2. What is this document?
That's the photo that I took of the front of 825 Upshur. You can see my closure notice clearly in the middle, and those signs continually being posted up with the QR code underneath.
And have you visited NaliaCollective.com?
Correct. It's just another it links you and directs you to Cannabis Karma's storefront.
And what were you able to conclude based on finding these advertisements on the storefront?
That Cannabis Karma / Life Luxury just moved their operation to online as opposed to the storefront at 825 Upshur, and they continue to sell unlicensed cannabis product.
Thank you. At this time, the district would like to move exhibit number 2 into evidence.
Miss, which one? What's exhibit number 2, ma'am? What's exhibit number 2?
The one that is currently being shown, of the storefront.
Miss Maiden, any you had your hand up, ma'am. You can unmute. Do you have any objection? Why did you have your hand up? And secondly, do you have any objection to moving the exhibit into evidence? You're on mute. You need to unmute yourself, Miss Maiden. Miss Maiden, you need to unmute yourself.
Unmute me.
You are-
At first I couldn't see the exhibit, so that's why I had my hand up. Do I have an objection to the exhibits 1 or 2? No, I do not.
All right. Without objection. Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down, ma'am.
And Investigator Peru, following on the day of the closure, you mentioned that you coordinated with MPD to do the undercover buy previously. Did MPD have any further involvement with Cannabis Karma after that purchase?
Yes, every closure that we do, I obtain a closure notice from the OAG's office, and MPD obtains a search warrant from the U.S. Attorney's office, and both the warrant and the closure is executed at the same time.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Maiden, do you have any questions for the witness?
I do have questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Peru, you said that you were able to make a sale from the Cannabis Karma website?
You mean a purchase, ma'am?
Yeah, a purchase from the Cannabis Karma website, correct?
I was able to add items to a cart, correct?
But you didn't purchase these items. There was no monetary exchange for the items that you added to the cart, correct? So there
Correct.
was
It was correct. The website said cash only in person, and I would have to send my phone number to obtain a pickup location. So I did not complete the purchase, correct?
okay. You also said that you compiled a list of unlicensed cannabis establishments. When did you do this, and what was the methodology behind it? How did you compile this list?
Well, that list has been building for quite some time. I mean, we ABCA got the program in 2020 from the Department of Health, and the law, we were since 2020, 2021, let's say, observing a lot of unlicensed quote unquote I-71 shops in the District of Columbia operating. But not until January 29th of 2024 is when the law changed and passed, allowing ABCA to have enforcement over unlicensed shops. So at that point in time, from social media searching through, I mean, as easy as Google or different cannabis friendly mapping websites, just gathering intel and from complaints from the public. So there's multiple sources that this list was compiled that end up being over 200 locations in DC that showed up on this list. Some were online and some were storefronts.
Okay. Is O Organics, Yes Organics on the list?
Yes, organics. We're referring to the grocery store.
Yes. They have cannabis products as well, but are they on the list?
Yes, organics, to my knowledge, does not sell THC, and so they're not on my list.
But are you aware that they sell CBD?
I've not purchased CBD from there. I've heard that they do, but I'm not personal knowledge of it.
Okay. So large companies who sell CBD have been, I guess, given a pass with regard to this kind of enforcement, it seems. Did you say that?
I cannot speak on CBD because I am enforcing places selling THC products, is what the focus has been.
But when you first entered the Life Luxy establishment, weren't you telling them to remove the CBD hemp products?
I believe you're referring to Department of Health, who had them remove any kind of edibles. So CBD and hemp, according to the Department of Health, is a unapproved food item that is not allowed to be sold in a district. Therefore, they will embargo any kind of edibles containing those particular ingredients. Not ABCA.
Okay, but the Department of Health hasn't seen fit to make this an issue for Yes Organics that's doing the
Objection.
What's the nature of the objection? What's the nature of the objection, ma'am? Ms. Brown.
I'm frozen. I don't know if she's frozen as well, but my
I
my
think,
my
yeah.
photo's frozen.
Well, I can hear you, ma'am. I think Ms. Brown was having, I think that she has some connective issues since we started. Are you there, Ms. Brown? Ms. Brown? Ms. Brown?
Hello? Are you? Yes. Can you hear me now?
The nature of my objection is that investigator Peru is being asked a question that is beyond purview, beyond his job description. She asked about what the college is doing that's not relevant to Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay.
That's fine. We'll concede the objection. I have another question though about this list of unlicensed cannabis distributors that was compiled. When you said the list has been compiled since 2020, Mr. Peru, is that correct? It's been
The list started being compiled back in 2021. We got the program in October of 2020 from the Department of Health, and in 2021 is kind of where we started to get information from MPD about unlicensed businesses, from federal partner agencies about unlicensed businesses. So that's really when it started to form.
okay. And so you began compiling a list in 2021. Had you reached out to Cannabis Karma at any time between 2021 and March? Because that is what I have on record as the first point of contact between you and Cannabis Karma. March 27th, 2024. So 3 years later, that was your first point of contact with Cannabis.
Unfortunately, DC law did not change until January of 2024. giving ABCA and myself authority on unlicensed businesses. ABCA did not have authority regarding unlicensed cannabis retailers. That's why that never occurred.
So this was the case with all of everyone on the list. They didn't get any contact from you until March of 2024 because of
The first warning I issued.
Objection.
Nature of the objection.
Relevance. This is about Cannabis Karma, not about all the establishments. That's irrelevant.
it is relevant because we're trying to establish that Cannabis Karma had a short time frame in which it was aware that it was violating the law and to get into compliance. So this is the first that Cannabis Karma has heard of being in violation of any district laws with regard to cannabis, March 27th, 2024.
All right, I'm going to overrule the objection, but I'll overrule the objection. I'll give you some leeway, but I'm not sure where we're going. I'm not sure where we're going regarding that issue, but I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead, Dave.
I am just trying to establish when Cannabis Karma was notified that it was out of compliance with any laws. So its first contact with Mr. Peru was March 27th, 2024. Is that correct, Mr.
Yeah,
Peru?
is that question for me? Yes, my first visit to Cannabis Karma was on that date. I issued the warning. Correct.
And prior to March of 2024, was anyone getting notified of these violations for selling cannabis out of unlicensed establishments?
The cannabis multi-agency cannabis enforcement team started inspections in March of 2024. Like I stated, the law passed in January 29th. I can't tell you when it was signed by the mayor, but it was signed sometime in February, and that's why enforcement actions began in March. And so the warnings that I started to issue per the statute began in March.
Understood. Was anyone notified prior to March of 2024 that they needed to apply for a license and be able to legally sell cannabis in the District of Columbia? Was any establishment given that kind of notice?
ABCA publicly advertised the first open application period for unlicensed cannabis retailers was from November of 2023 through November of 2024, based on a law that was passed in December of 2022. So publicly, the it was advertised and the public was informed that ABCA was going to be giving opportunity for more retail licenses in DC.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Any questions by the board members? All right.
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Meadows.
this question is for Mr. Peru. So on March 27th, when you gave the warning, you gave a 14-day warning. Did you notify the proprietor that that there was opportunity for them to expand and to become a legally licensed business?
Absolutely. I had multiple conversations with the owner, Princess Maribel, regarding licensure and how to obtain licensure, guiding her through the applications and where to find them on our website.
Thank you.
No, ma'am, you can't ask a question. Only attorney can ask questions. Ma'am, so can you, Ms. Maribel, if you have a question, you can text your attorney if you need to do that, but you cannot ask any questions during this period. Any other questions by any of the board members? Ms. Brown, any redirect?
Yes, just a couple questions. We've been talking about the warning letter, but let's just go back to the order to cease and desist. Investigator Peru, on what date was the order to cease and desist issued?
July 10th is when the board issued the cease and desist.
Okay. And in what month was the undercover buy operation?
That wasn't until October.
And so this purchase that occurred in October, did that violate the board's order to cease and desist that was issued in July of 2024?
It did.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Peru, thank you very much for your testimony. Have a great day. Does the government wish to call another witness?
Yes, the district would like to call Investigator David Leedy.
Investigator Leedy, can you come on camera, please? Ms. Maribel, can you put your hand down, please, ma'am? Investigator Leedy, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You're a witness, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Investigator Leedy. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Good afternoon. My name's David Leedy. First name is spelled D-A-V-I-D. Last name is L-E-A-T-Y.
And where are you currently employed?
With the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department.
And what is your position with MPD?
Currently, I'm a investigator with the Violent Crime Suppression Division. And within that division, I'm working with the Narcotics Enforcement Unit.
And how long have you held this position with the Narcotics Enforcement Unit?
The Narcotics Enforcement Unit, 1 year, approximately 17 years with MPD.
Thank you. Are you familiar with an establishment named Life Luxy or Cannabis Karma?
I am.
How did you become familiar with this establishment?
I received information from Investigator Peru that the establishment was selling cannabis, THC-related products without a license. And so from that point, we did our investigation with sending a undercover officer in the establishment. And then soon after, I drafted a search warrant based off a purchase within the establishment.
Okay. Now, going back to that purchase, in what month was that purchase, that undercover purchase that MPD was able to make?
In October.
Okay. And were the details of that undercover buy memorialized in any particular document?
Yes, the search warrant.
And to clarify, is it, when you say search warrant, are you referring to the search warrant affidavit, or are you referring to the search warrant return?
The affidavit.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to show you what has been marked as government exhibit number 3.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ms. Brown? Okay, go ahead.
Are you able to see exhibit number 3?
Yes.
Okay, and what is this document?
That is the beginning of the search warrant affidavit.
Okay. Now, directing your attention to the probable cause portion of this document, are you able to summarize for us what occurred during that buy operation?
we had a undercover investigator go in the Life Lexi establishment, was greeted by an employee. The employee asked how they could help. The undercover was presented with a menu, and the undercover picked an item off of the menu, which was the white cherry lemon raz item. In exchange for that item, the UC gave $80 pre-recorded funds, U.S. currency. And later, when the UC left the establishment, product was tested and it had a positive color reaction for THC.
Okay. Now, this search warrant affidavit, who drafted this?
Myself.
Why did you draft this search warrant affidavit?
It was a result of the positive buy and a positive reaction for THC for an establishment that had no license to sell based on the information I received from Investigator Peru.
And at this time, the district would like to move government exhibit number 3 into evidence.
Any objections, Ms. Maiden?
No.
Without objection.
Now, Investigator Leedy, you mentioned that an item called white cherry lemon raz was purchased through this undercover buy. Was there a photograph taken of this item? Now showing you what has been marked as government exhibit number 4. What is this a picture of?
That is the item that the UC purchased, which is commonly known as a Mylar bag. The substance inside, green leafy substance, was tested, which had the presence of THC inside it.
And so, just so that we can clarify what is in this photograph specifically, you spoke of a green Mylar bag. Is that what we see near the bottom middle section of this photograph?
That's correct.
And what are we seeing directly to the right of that item?
That was a drug test kit used by the undercover, which showed the positive reaction for THC. The purple color indicates the positive reaction.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the government would like to move government exhibit number 4 into evidence.
Ms. Maiden, any objection?
No.
And Ms. Maiden, I need you to mute your line when you're not speaking, ma'am. And the reason why, because we're getting interference. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Following the undercover buy, what did MPD do next?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question. You said what happened after the undercover buy?
Yes.
After the undercover buy and the item was tested positive, that's when I drafted the search warrant affidavit for the purchase. I sent the information to the U.S. Attorney's Office. It was approved and then forwarded to the judge, which the judge signed. And then at a later time, the search warrant was carried out.
Okay. And so you noted that you were able to obtain the search warrant. Did you execute the search warrant?
Yes, I did.
And after you executed the search warrant, was a police report created to memorialize the results of the search warrant?
Yes, there was.
Okay. Now I'm showing you what has been marked as government exhibit number 5. Is this the police report that was generated following the search warrant?
It is.
Okay. And on what date was the search warrant executed?
October 17th.
And what were the results of the search warrant? In other words, what were you able to recover, if anything?
One of the main items was an additional Mylar bag, or multiple Mylar bags, which tested positive for THC. There were additional many pre-rolled cigarettes with green leafy substance, multiple edibles such as gummies, candy, chocolates, and other cannabis-related products, jars that had a kind of a resin or cream substance, and U.S. currency.
And specifically, how many Mylar bags with green loose leaf substance were recovered?
43.
And how many pre-rolled cigarettes were recovered?
39.
Okay. And directing your attention to what you attached or included in your police report on page 6. What is this item that we see here?
That is one of the additional Mylar bags that was tested and I had a positive reaction for THC.
Okay. And what do we see on page 7 in this photograph?
It's pre-rolled paper with green substance, which also had a positive reaction for THC.
At this time, the government would like to move Exhibit 5 into evidence.
Ms. Maiden. Any objection, Ms. Maiden? I can't hear you, ma'am. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, objection.
What's the nature of your objection?
We don't identify these objects as having come from Cannabis Karma.
Ms. Brown.
My response to that is that as Investigator Levy testified, this is the police report that was generated to memorialize what was recovered from the search warrant that was executed at Cannabis Karma.
We object to the search warrant as it was improperly executed, but we will get to that in our questions of Mr. Lighty.
Well, I'm going to overrule the objection, and I'm going to allow the exhibits in. All right.
Okay. Investigator Levy, you noted that the search warrant was executed on October 17th. Did ABCA have any involvement at the establishment on that day?
Yeah.
And what was their involvement?
Investigator Peru was there, and after the search warrant was conducted, I believe it was called the summary of notice, which he leaves at the establishment to advise what had occurred and posted the notice.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Maiden, any questions for the investigator?
Yes, I do. I have questions. So your name is Mr. Leedy, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You were speaking of the actions of an undercover officer, but you were not the undercover officer who made the alleged purchase, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So basically all of your testimony then is hearsay because you did not, you weren't there. You did not see the illegal sale. You were informed.
Objection.
The person who made the illegal sale is not testifying today, correct? You're
All
testifying
right,
how?
all right, hold on. What's the nature of the objection, ma'am?
This question calls for a legal conclusion because she is asking Investigator Levy to conclude whether his testimony is hearsay.
Well, I'm just asking him to explain that he did not make the sale. Correct. I mean, he did not make the purchase of the alleged illegal sale. Is that correct?
Okay, so well, hold on. Are you rephrasing your question, ma'am? Because there was an objection. So but then you're asking another question. So, are you withdrawing the question, or tell me, or do I need to make a ruling on the objection?
I'm withdrawing the question.
All right, fine.
So, but
So withdrawn.
I am
Go ahead.
trying to ascertain who made the purchase, the alleged illegal purchase, and are they here to testify? And Mr. Leedy is not that person. Is that correct?
Is that a question you're asking, Mr. the witness, ma'am?
Yeah. What is the name? Who made the alleged purchase? That is written about in the exhibit in the police report. They're not going to testify today. I guess that is for counsel.
Is there a question for the witness, or is there an objection? I'm just trying to find. Is this a question for the witness? I mean,
well, yeah, he answered the question, which is that he did not make the alleged illegal purchase.
okay, that's fine.
And
All right.
so I'd like to note for the record that we don't have any witness to speak.
Well, that's not that's not something you can do at this juncture, ma'am. You're cross-examining a witness. So if you want to, in your closing, or to make any type of motions, but you're in the middle of cross-examination, ma'am. So that's improper what you're doing. So do you have another question for this witness?
Yes, I do. Mr. Leedy, are you familiar with the execution of search warrants?
Yes.
And when you execute the search warrant, is it protocol to provide the person who is at the establishment being searched a copy of that warrant?
The warrant return.
Okay, can you explain what a warrant return is?
Yes, on the front of the warrant, which is also known as the cover page, is the signed page from the attorney. And when we leave the premises, we notate on that warrant return the items that were recovered and also who was on scene at the location.
But on October 17th, when the store was, when you came with the warrant, that warrant, was it provided to anyone who was at the store?
No, it was left on, I believe, one of the counters at the location. And one of the employees, the only employee that was there, I believe already had left by the time we were done.
But that employee, do you recall if she stated that she needed to see a warrant?
Yeah. Well,
Hmm?
I said, I don't recall. I didn't speak to the employee. I don't know if any other person spoke to her.
Okay. And you stated that, let me see, that you are a part of the Violent Crimes Suppression Commission. Is that correct?
Division. Correct.
Division. All right. Have you ever received any information or notification regarding Life Luxy or Cannabis Karma being involved in any kind of violent crimes?
Not specific with violent crime, no.
Okay. No further questions.
Any questions by the board members? Ms. Brown, any redirect?
One more second.
No
I
redirect.
have one more question for
Ma'am,
Mr.
ma'am, you asked all your questions. I went to ask the board if there are questions. The board said no, so therefore you've lost your opportunity. We have moved on from your questioning because so it's not. I can't give you a second round of cross-examine the witness, ma'am. So you've lost your opportunity to ask questions. So we're back to the government if they have redirect, and that's it.
Understood.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Did you say you have redirect, or you have no
No
questions?
redirect.
Officer Leahy, thank you very much for your testimony, sir. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the government have another witness?
No, the government rested.
Ms. Maiden, you can do your opening and then you can present your case, ma'am.
Okay. Princess Mirabal owns a storefront, Life Luxy, at 825 Upshur Street. On October 17, 2024, the storefront was recently shuttered by the District of Columbia's Alcohol and Cannabis Administration, also known as ABCA, depriving Ms. Mirabal of her property without due process. Ms. Mirabal can no longer access her store nor the property contained within it. The storefront at 825 Upshur contains two businesses, or it did. One is Life Luxy. Life Luxy is a retail store that does not sell any natural cannabis products, but accessories that are utilized in a cannabis consumer's lifestyle. These products are glassware, cannabis seeds, jewelry, books, nutrients to care for the cannabis plant. These items for sale do not contain cannabis unless you're talking about the seeds. All of the Life Luxy retail is contained within this storefront. The other business is Nalia LLC, and Nalia trades under the name Cannabis Karma. Cannabis Karma does not sell products which contain cannabis within the district, but it does sell products that contain hemp and CBD, which, according to the 2018 Farm Bill, is legally distinct from cannabis that has an intoxicating characteristics or the chemical compound THC, and is legal for sale in a variety of products and in a variety of states. On November 4th, 2014, Washington, D.C. voters overwhelmingly approved Initiative 71. On February 26th of 2015, the measure took effect, meaning the following acts became legal under D.C. law: possession, purchase, and transportation of up to 2 ounces of cannabis for personal use by adults that are 21 and older, personal cultivation of 6 cannabis plants, with no more than 3 being mature by adults 21 or older, that is permitted in personal residence, transfer of up to 1 ounce of cannabis by adults 21 or older to another adult 21 or older, that was also permitted. Use or paraphernalia for cannabis use, cultivation, and processing. This legislation opened the door to the creation of a massive unregulated gray market for cannabis distribution and several cannabis and cannabis-related businesses. Several of these businesses opened during the past decade within the district, and Life Luxy and Nalia LLC were 2 such businesses. However, a series of laws were just passed in early to mid 2024, such as the Medical Cannabis Program Enforcement Amendment Act of 2024 that was enacted in January of 2024, as well as the Medical Cannabis Conditional License and Unlicensed Establishment Closure Clarification Emergency Amendment Act that was signed into law on July 15th of 2024. So these laws seek to target what have come to be termed I-71 shops and seek to disrupt and or shut down these businesses without adequate due process. This is being done. This is what happened with regard to Ms. Mirabal's storefront. On the alleged authority of this new legislation, Ms. Mirabal began to have a series of encounters with Mr. Jason Peru, who has testified and is a supervisor with ABCA. It is Ms. Mirabal's contention that these encounters, at a minimum, violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, these encounters target cannabis, hemp, and CBD products, while the same or similar types of CBD products are sold by larger corporate chains such as Yes Organic, and they are not being targeted with this new legislation. On March 27th, 2024, Mr. Jason Peru entered the 825 storefront and informed Ms. Mirabal that CBD products contained in her store were illegal. In cooperation with the District of Columbia agencies such as the Department of Health and the Department of Consumer Licensing and Protection, Mr. Peru issued Ms. Mirabal a warning, as well as a number of fines that were financially crippling to the business. Some of these fines were issued in error. For example, Life Luxy has always had a certificate of occupancy, which was issued by the DC Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs on March 18, 2021. Mr. Peru also insisted that the store be fined for selling electronic cigarettes, which were never sold at the establishment, as the establishment, Life Luxy and Nalia, have a strict policy against selling tobacco or any nicotine products. And while it is true that Ms. Mirabal's business license had expired when Mr. Peru first made contact with her on March 27, 2024, she was able to get that license reinstated. And as a result, the error made with the certificate of occupancy, as well as the corrective action with regard to the expired business license, the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection has agreed to reduce the fines against Ms. Mirabal substantially by 50 to 80%. All of this is to say, Mr. Peru, as a supervisory investigator for ABCA, has acted hastily to penalize Ms. Mirabal's store, oftentimes without having all of the correct information, and there has been a cost to the store in terms of fines, really exorbitant fines, the purpose of which seemed to cripple the business and to put Ms. Mirabal out of business. On July 2nd, 2024, Jason Peru entered the store again when neither Life Luxy nor Cannabis Karma was open for business and was not selling anything at that time. Mr. Peru was informed by the store manager, Davina Hale, that the store was not open for business. Nevertheless, at that time, Mr. Peru insisted that certain items in the store be inspected, locked behind the counter, indicating that the selected items were not for sale and were embargoed. These were primarily CBD products. They were not to be touched until some further action was taken by the DC Department of Health. The store manager, Davina Hale, complied with Mr. Peru's instructions in as much as she understood them. And she also explained to Mr. Peru at this time that the store did not carry any tobacco and nicotine products, electronic or otherwise, and what he was citing as electronic cigarette was actually just a battery. At any rate, Ms. Hale complied with this request to place an embargo sign provided by Mr. Peru on the case where she stored all of the identified embargo products. She placed the products under lock and key. She began contacting wholesalers in an attempt to ship the products back. On July 10th, 2024, ABCA did issue to Princess Mirabal a cease and desist order because Cannabis Karma had complied with Mr. Peru's instructions and had ceased any sale of hemp or CBD products or cannabis products per Mr. Peru's instruction. Ms. Mirabal requested a hearing in the hopes of receiving clarification with regard to the cease and desist order. Precisely, she sought to learn what actions within her storefront were to be ceased. On July 22nd, 2024, the ABCA board held a hearing on the cease and desist order, and on August 7th, the board affirmed the cease and desist order with regard to cannabis products. However, the finding also stated that Ms. Mirabal was free to continue selling non-cannabis items within the Life Luxy storefront. At the hearing, Ms. Mirabal explained that she was seeking a license to sell the cannabis products within the district and had in fact applied for a license with ABCA's to ensure that her business could legally resume the sale of cannabis products, specifically the hemp-based products that were critical to the health and wellness and demands as articulated by her client base. On September 15, 2024, Mr. Peru alleged that he checked online to determine that Nalia, doing business as Cannabis Karma, continued to offer for sale a variety of illegal cannabis flower and products. As Ms. Mirabal explained at the hearing, Cannabis Karma's online offerings of cannabis flower and products are no longer available to DC residents. However, the website has yet to be revised to reflect this. Ms. Mirabal does continue to offer for sale a number of cannabis products on her site that are perfectly legal for sale in the 33 states where cannabis sales are legal. And Ms. Mirabal has cultivated a client base that is both national and international. Any attempts to restrict her ability to access an interstate or is interfering with interstate commerce, which is unconstitutional. The products are shipped out to out-of-state clientele only if the products are legal in the state where the product is to be received. Ms. Mirabal also offers a compassionate care program where certain cannabis products are given free of charge to individuals who are suffering from cancer and other diseases or ailments that cannabis has been shown to positively impact.
Miss Maiden, are you doing an opening or a closing?
I'm going to call my first witness momentarily, but I just want to get set up what we're going to be talking about, why the sales occurred. Ms. Mirabal is herself a 40% disabled veteran of the U.S. Army and is in possession of a medical cannabis card, which permits her under DPI to process cannabis in order to treat her disability. Her employees are also in possession of medical cannabis cards for the treatment of their various medical conditions. Despite being upfront with ABCA regarding her intent to apply for a cannabis license, Ms. Mirabal was specifically targeted by Mr. Peru's heavy enforcement efforts with regard to ABCA's 2024 legislation. So right now, I would like to call Ms. Davina Hale, who was the store manager of the storefront that was shuttered. October 14th.
Ms. Hale, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
There is a lot of noise in your background, ma'am. We have a court reporter who's taking info. So that's one of the reasons why I try to not have any background noise. Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes.
All right. I guess did I swear in? Do you swear? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you're a witness, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, Davina, can you describe for us what happened when you were contacted when Mr. Peru entered the store on July 2nd, 2024? What occurred at that time?
On July 2nd, the store was closed. Mr. Peru entered the store, said he was here on another visit. I did enclose him that the store is closed. Him and his team went on to tell me to put the things in the case, lock them up to get shipped out, which I implied that I did on that date of what they requested.
Can you repeat the last part, please? I didn't get that.
I was saying that basically coming in, the store was closed. They came in with the team, picked out items that were not supposed to be sold in the store, and I applied with them to pack it away and lock it in a display and not be sold and keep the embargoed subjects in the displays.
Okay. And so the instructions were a little bit contradictory in that you were told to keep them locked up, but also told to send some of the products back to the to where they had been purchased. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So is it fair to say that you were unclear on how to be in compliance with the rules and regulations that Mr. Peru was enforcing?
Yes, it was very unclear what to do and not to do.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to October 17th, when the Mr. Peru came back to the store with the the police department, and just can you tell us what happened on that day?
On October 17th, I was currently doing some administrative work. Peru walked into the store. I stood in. He said, "I'm here again. Here with the search warrant." I went over to him and I told him that everything that you told me from before is in cases and that we are shipped out. And then at that time, a police officer was already handcuffing me. I was trying to reach out to Princess. I did not have a chance to because I was already in handcuffs. I was asked for my name, while the other maybe 5 to 8 men came in to do the search, and did the searching throughout the store. And then at that time, they told me that they were going to arrest me, then let me go. And then they asked me did I have any personal items? I did say yes. They asked me where they were. The officer then went and got my things, and he also searched my items and then gave them to me, and then told me I was free to go. And that's what's the run through for that day.
At any time, were you able to, did anyone show you the search warrant that was allegedly in the possession of the officers or Mr. Peru?
No, I wasn't shown a search warrant. It was just verbally said that they were here for a search warrant from
That was what
this time.
they to you, that they were here for a search warrant.
Yes.
And then about how long after that was said were you handcuffed?
Literally probably no later than 2 minutes later, 2 to 3 minutes later.
Okay, so this is what happened on the 17th. Mr. Peru and shows up with the police department. Did any of the officers have weapons?
Yes, the officer did have weapons. One or two of them did have big, large guns too as well.
What's the nature of the objection?
This is completely irrelevant to the issue of this case, which is about whether they violated the cease and desist order. Nothing has to do with weapons.
And why is this relevant, Ms. Maiden?
Because it shows that there was a lot of force and intimidation of Miss Hale, who was in the store alone, and Mr. Peru knew that, and therefore she didn't feel able to ask to see the alleged search warrant, and she never did.
I'm going to sustain the objection. I don't think that's relevant. I mean, I think I'd asked earlier if you had any procedural type of concerns, you could have raised those early in the hearing, but I don't think that's relevant at this juncture, ma'am. So let's move on.
Okay. So how long would you say you were in the store after Mr. Peru and the police department showed up?
No more than 15 minutes. Because like I said, after they arrested me and got my information, they told me I was free to go.
Okay. Do you know why you weren't not arrested? Did anybody say we're not going to arrest you because?
No, they just told me I was being arrested for the search warrant. I had to be arrested.
Okay. How much of the search were you able to observe before you were told to leave? Well, you don't know.
Like I
You
said,
left.
yeah, like I said, like I said, I was probably there like 15 minutes or so.
I don't have any further questions.
Ms. Brown.
Yes, just a few questions. Ms. Hale, you testified that you were the store manager at 825 Upshur Northwest, correct?
Yes.
Now showing you what has been marked as government exhibit number 2. This is the front of the store in which you work, correct?
Where's Miss Hale? Miss Hale, there's a question pending.
Yes, I used to, yes.
Okay. And this store is located in the District of Columbia, correct?
Yes.
And this is an advertisement saying, please visit us online at neliacollective.com, correct?
That's what it reads on the paper.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any questions by any board members? Ms. Maiden, any redirect? Any redirect, Ms. Maiden?
Yes. Miss Mirabel's collective is it true to your knowledge, Ms. Hale, has a customer base that is nationwide, correct?
Yes.
And you guys are interacting with people from all over the country, and with that website sells more than just cannabis, correct?
Yes. Paraphernalia, different aromatherapy items. Like I said, just to help out with cannabis, but no cannabis products.
And as far as you know, it's perfectly legal for you to sell these items to not cannabis within the district, but the items that are on the website, many of which are not cannabis. It's perfectly legal to sell these items to the Cannabis Karma's clientele. It's a certain customer base that she has procured for a number of years.
Yes.
Objection? Objection?
But I know she answered. I know she answered, but she answered the question. So the witness answered the question. Let's move on.
Okay, I don't have any additional questions for you. Thank you, Ms. Hale.
Thank you, Ms. Hale, for your testimony today. Have a great day. Ms. Maiden, do you have another question? Do you have another witness?
Yes, I would like to call Ms. Mirabal as a witness as well.
Ms. Maribel, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? You need to unmute your phone, ma'am.
I do. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth.
Okay, thank you. Your witness.
Okay, Ms. Mirabal, can you tell us what your mission is with regard to Cannabis Karma and why that mission is so important to you?
Yes, ma'am. Cannabis Karma's mission is to bring good vibes events to the community in a relaxed, serene environment while normalizing the adult consumption of cannabis. We do this through a variety of ways, but primarily through cultivating products throughout the United States and a clientele throughout the United States. We're able to provide a curated collection of products. Our website, Nelia Collective, directs our clientele to our seed bank. We're a seed bank to the District of Columbia and to the country, where folks can have access to cannabis seeds and grow them as they're not illegal. We also carry the nutrients for people to be able to grow, as well as the tents to be able to grow.
And you are aware, you're clear now that you can no longer sell any cannabis flower to residents of the District of Columbia because your establishment is unlicensed. You are aware of that, correct?
Yeah, we received a number of notifications. Hold on, I'm near a motorcycle. We've received a number of notifications from the ABCA division, but as a small business of like 4 people, I'm the only owner of the company. It takes us time to evolve, as the agency only contacted us in March. For a business to change its model and pivot away from what was permitted in the District of Columbia under a carte blanche for in excess of 4 to 5 years, it took us a moment to evolve. And during the time of the enforcement, we've had the opportunity to buy a variety of products and redevelop our website to allow our clients in the District of Columbia access to those products. And they're not necessarily cannabis related. They're jewelry, they're cosmetics that I've imported from a variety of countries so that I don't have to sell there. As an international company, we a national brand, we're still going to offer cannabis throughout the United States, and that will never change. Because that's where our client base is. We've been in business since 2016. Our clients have moved into the district, left out of the district, and still want to have Cannabis Karma to provide them access. So we do just that. We don't have to provide them service at 825 Upshur. It was just a faction that y'all permitted over time.
But you do want to resume possession of 825 Upshur. And can you tell us what you would be doing at that location were you to resume possession?
Yeah, we're a big part of that community, being in DC since 2016. So all of the other paraphernalia, it's not uncommon for cannabis consumers to want to have access to the other things that are available. We had one case of 8 cases inside of our entire store of products that, if given the opportunity, we'd want to be able to meet our lease with our landlord, as we have 2 more years left there, and to be able to resume possession of the store. I don't need to sell cannabis in there. I can sell it across the United States to all my other clientele.
I would like permission to share my screen to pull up the exhibits that we have showing the efforts that Cannabis Karma or Life Luxy has taken to be in. Okay.
All right, Mr. Ardia, can you allow Miss Maiden to share her screen?
Access has been granted.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to work this. Give me a moment. Are you able to see my screen?
No, ma'am.
Now, it keeps going away. I keep trying to present the exhibit, but it keeps going away. Hello? Are you still there?
We're here, ma'am. You're just not sharing your screen, so you need to go there to share your screen.
Okay.
You want to click share and then screen.
Okay. All right. Um, is there, is my, so I have up here an embargo order. Are you seeing
No,
an
ma'am.
embargo order?
You're not sharing your screen, ma'am.
Hmm. Okay.
You want to click share and then screen one, potentially.
It is in Adobe. These documents are in Adobe.
It doesn't
And
matter.
all right. Share. Okay. I keep getting a message that we can't display your shared content. Make sure you've allowed permission to share the content and then try again. Okay. It says it's connecting.
Okay, now, well, what were you trying to show, ma'am? I saw something on our screen. I saw yes, organic. What were you trying to share? What were you trying to show to us?
I'm actually trying to share um, the embargo signs that were placed up at Canvas Karma within the store once Miss Mirabal was notified by Mr. Peru. Miss Mirabal and Miss Hale was notified of the
Did did were these documents shared with the government?
no, but none of the exhibits that we reviewed were shared.
Ma'am, if they were shared with the government, I was going to ask the government if they could share their screen. That was the only reason why I asked the question.
Well, I have the exhibits. The exhibits that I would like to share that I'm unable to share are in Adobe.
Send them to me. Can you try to send them to me? I don't know what to say, but you could probably email them to me if that would help.
Is that from Miss Brown?
No, your client said that email them, and maybe she's able to
Okay.
work with the technology.
Just email me. It's okay. Technology these days, we do our best with it, you know?
All right.
So I just
But
refresh.
my question about that I wanted to share the exhibits with was about with regard to the embargo signs. What was your understanding that you needed to do to be in compliance with what Mr. Peru was asking with regard to the embargo signs?
You're asking me, correct?
Yes, Princess, I'm asking you.
So specifically on the embargo signs, there's from the Department of Health, it explicitly states that we should not remove anything from the store so that it should remain. To say that Mr. Peru was saying, get these things out of here and not sell them, don't move them, don't touch them, it's very confusing. I mean, we had no choice but to come and leave them in there because that's what the sign said. What if the health department comes back and tells us where's the things that we left here? So the police department coming back and making a laundry list of everything that they found, it's like an imaginary got you moment. I am unaware that we're not allowed to remove it. They said the sign explicitly said not to remove it. It's yeah.
Okay. And the second exhibit that I want to share, I'm sending them to you right now. But the second exhibit that I wanted to share was the medical cannabis card that you and your employees had. Can you tell us about the medical cannabis card that you have and why do you have it?
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm a disabled veteran. I served in the United States Army for some years and received an honorable discharge. And I'm currently 40% able. I have on hand access to cannabis within the places that I occupy. For example, 825 within my refrigerator. I had a locked backpack within there full of ganja, pre rolls, candies, gummies, everything that you would find typically on Cannabis Karma menu was inside of a locked backpack inside of the store that was later searched and seized by ABCA and the police department as put in evidence as things for sale, but they weren't on the sales floor. They were inside of the company's private office, inside of a locked backpack.
Right. And what is the company's what is the company
policy on using it is that I allow myself and the staff access to it, being in business since 2016.
Uh, can I can I can I can I say?
Yeah.
We have a hearing, ma'am. We're in the middle of a hearing, and as you know, these hearings. It's open to the public. It is illegal in the District of Columbia for one to possess, to sell, to serve cannabis in a commercial space. And I, the information that's being presented here on the public record, I think, ma'am, you need to be careful what information is being placed here on the public record, because um, the purpose of this hearing is that you are we had the first hearing, the cease and desist, and that you allegedly violated. That's why we have this hearing today. That's why the agents of the government went out and padlocked your business. But it appears to me that you are placing information on the public record that appear to me that you're putting yourself at jeopardy. And I'm concerned, and that's why I'm interceding, because I'm concerned that it appears that you're putting information in the public hearing and that you're not necessarily aware of the law. I'm hearing testimony about sending products over interstate from state to state. It's illegal to trans
It's
for
being
you
shipped into
to
the District of Columbia.
ma'am,
It
hold
is.
on, ma'am,
So
hold on, ma'am, hold on. I am just putting your notice that you're putting a lot of information on the record that you might put yourself in jeopardy because you're on the public record. But if you and that's not, this is a cease and desist in the sense that I'm sorry, this is I'm sorry, summary suspension hearing in the sense that the government they put a padlock on your business because the allegation was that after the last hearing, you continued to sell cannabis without having a license. And I'm not sure if you are aware that the information that you're putting on the record, on the public record, it appears that you're conceding that. I'm not sure if you're aware what is it that you're doing. So I'm just
I'm
putting
not
your
selling
notice.
them. These out of the store. You said the cease and
No,
desist is selling out of
what
825. I don't do that. I'm saying
All
that.
what
right,
we're trying
all
to
right,
establish.
You, ma'am, you can testify whichever way you want to testify. I am just saying that you need to be cognizant of what's being said. But if you want to continue testifying the way you are, that's to your peril. I'm just saying I'm concerned that it appears that I'm concerned what's been placed on the public record, and I just want to just yeah, that's all I'm saying. So you can go ahead.
Okay, I like to redirect. Um, Ms. Mirabal, it is not your testimony that you continue to sell cannabis after you received a cease and desist notice from ABCA out of the 825 Upshur location, is it?
We don't
That's not.
offer cannabis out of Washington, D.C.'s 825 location. We do not. We are a national company, and we still do offer cannabis across the United States, yes. As protected under, what is the commerce laws that's protect us under this international, like interstate commerce? That's the only thing that I'm saying. Our website is robust. It has more than just cannabis. So yes, I do ship the things from off my website to other states.
The point of that testimony was to say that you do have a website that is functional, that you're able to interact with your cannabis clientele who know you for procuring appropriate cannabis products. CBD is a cannabis product that is not illegal in a lot of states.
It's
All right.
not illegal.
Can I,
I don't
ma'am,
understand what's going
ma'am,
on. Why do
ma'am,
people
hold on,
hammering
hold on,
over hemp?
ma'am, hold on, please.
Hemp's not illegal
Ma'am,
in
hold on,
33 other states.
miss, hold on, hold
Are
on,
you aware of that, though?
miss,
I
hold
have to
on,
ask, because if I don't
miss,
ask, I'm going
miss,
crazy.
miss,
Are you
miss,
aware it's legal in other states? Yes or
miss,
no?
miss,
Why y'all keep
miss,
asking us about him? Him can
miss,
go in other states. I'm gonna
miss,
mail it across all of the United
miss,
States, and it's never not gonna happen.
miss.
Lord,
Let me tell you what the law in the District of Columbia,
I hear
under
you.
the Farm Bill, states can change their laws. In the District of Columbia, hemp is cannabis because we did not change our law. That's one of the basic tenets in the District of Columbia. Within the District of Columbia, because the District of Columbia did not change its law pursuant to the Farm Bill, hemp is classified as cannabis. Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Mirabal, are you selling cannabis products, hemp or THC cannabis products, to your client base in the District of Columbia?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Let's move to the sale that occurred allegedly on October 10th, I believe. So, or October 9th. So, allegedly on October 9th, there was a sale that was made from your storefront by an employee that sold to an undercover officer cannabis flower that contained THC. Did you authorize any of your employees to do this?
The contract employee was hired with our company less than 60 days prior to the October 17th sale. On October 17th, when the Metropolitan Police Department came in with AK-47s, she resigned from working with our company. But yes, I do recall her making, it was not authorized. She took product that was inside of, it just wasn't authorized. She wasn't privy to the policy. As a company as large as ours, she had like 2 departments that she was training in. She had only landed at that store in the first week of October. She was unaware of the policy because policies had been changing.
And why was the cannabis inside the store at all? Why was it there?
As a disabled veteran, I have to have access to cannabis. I'm 40% disabled. My staff also are medical cannabis patients and need have access for cannabis as for health reasons. It's inside of a backpack too, a locked backpack with a code. This wasn't open to the public. It wasn't displayed to the public.
You weren't privy to the interaction between this employee and this undercover officer that did not testify today. You weren't privy to that at all, were you?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't made aware of it until later in October, once we received some documents.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the date of the raid. How did you learn about the fact that ABCA had shuttered your store? How did you learn about that?
The store manager had contacted me, and I also have remote access into the video security camera system.
Okay. And what did you see on those security systems?
I saw men drawn with AK-47s around one woman. No documents were given to her. We were able to review the footage.
What was the condition of your store? Did you see that from the footage? How the search was executed?
It would appear that the Metropolitan Police Department had upsided the office, ripping out all of the just papers and money counting machine and just stuff thrown all over the store. There was no care concern given into the value and the safety of our products and security.
And can you tell us what was primarily inside the store at the time that the Mr. Peru and the police entered the store? What was inside of that store primarily?
So we have, again, glass, um, gold, diamond. We have a lot of salves and lotions and creams. We have an embargoed case of cannabis hemp with a cannabis flag draped over it, with a website URL on top of the case that says Save DC Hemp. So our customers will become aware that DC ABCA had been targeting cannabis hemp specifically. We had a way for our customers to be able to sign about this, a petition. Inside the store, we had cash, over $3,000 in cash that was taken. We had for sale paraphernalia, which is batteries. We have a variety of products that cannabis consumers are typically utilizing. We have an outdoor space where people sit in our garden, and we have an indoor space where people sit in our lounge. We have books and things like that. We provide classes, Cannabis 101, for example, to the public.
Okay. And can you tell us about how secure the store was left once ABCA entered and searched it? You have, you have an extensive security system around the store. Can you describe what comprises that security system?
Absolutely.
Objection.
What's the nature of the objection, ma'am?
This is beyond the scope of what this hearing is supposed to be about. Again, we're talking about the cannabis sale and whether there's a violation of the cease and desist order, not about surveillance.
You know what, Miss Brown, I'm going to overrule the objection, as this is the witness decide she wanted to tell her story, and so if that's how she wants to tell her story, I'll allow the question.
So the question was about the security of the store. Can you tell us how the store is secured and why it's secured, and what happened as a result of ABCA entering the store on October 17th to that security system?
On any given day, Davina walks in, Davina Hale, the store manager, walks in and unlocks a 500 steel door. She removes 2 very heavy locks that prevent like clippers from going in and opening it. The Metropolitan Police Department, upon leaving their investigative scene, my store, they chose to leave the back door unlocked. They chose to leave the front door unsecured with a standard padlock. Later on that evening, someone, or 2 days later, you would see someone making an effort to access the building, destroying the cameras outside of it.
And what action did you take to try and secure the store?
The company has locksmiths, so we have standard locks that are supposed to go on there, not padlocks that are available at Home Depot. And that's the locks that were left on there. The ones that are available at Home Depot or Ace Hardware store. I have an insurance policy and I have an expectation to the landlord, and that is to secure that building and make sure that there's no damage left over there. It's my responsibility to secure it. I'm not leaving it up to Mr. Peru to casually go by while he's doing other investigative work to determine the security of my $1 million business. No.
And how much has it cost you to try and resecure the store after ABCA's search and seizure, not only of the products within, but the store itself?
So we've been closed. Today is the 19th, so we're about, I think we lost like $40,000 playing in this game. The $1,500 it took us to resecure the building also.
Okay. So we saw today a search warrant that explains why the premises was searched, what the probable cause was. Have you ever seen that search warrant before today?
No. So it's interesting. The way we ended up getting a copy of the search warrant was by our access and back into the store. Not today, not to present, has ABCA provided any search warrant or any government papers directly to the business or to myself, not certified or otherwise. We just were supposed to, Mr. Peru, like text me on my personal cell phone and said, hey, if you go back in there, we're going to arrest you. But the search warrants and all documentation were sitting inside of that building. And then we sit in, and 1 month later, we still don't have that document. No one give it to us. It make it real difficult.
And have you ever seen any documentation showing that your product that came from your store tested positive for THC?
Nothing. We haven't received any due process around what it was testing for, what was taken, how much cash they took out. Only in today's moment is the first eyes I lay on what was taken out of the building. It's unfortunate.
All right. I don't have any further questions unless there's something additional that you would like to add about the seizure of your store. I don't have any additional questions. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
I wanted to be able to share the exhibits that you sent. I only have one of them here, and that's the copy of my medical cannabis card. I think you had a couple other ones that you wanted to share. Had you had any success in sharing that on your side? Your side?
I have not. I have not.
You only give me one document.
I'm sorry. Just hold on. I'm sorry. That's no. All right, we need to take a break for momentarily. Mr. Grant is having some Wi-Fi issues, so he temporarily got disconnected. So let me wait until he's back. Okay, he's now back. All right. We've moved beyond that. Miss Maiden didn't, she was trying to share her screen and she'd moved on. I know she had emailed the documents to you, Miss Maribel, but we'd moved on to questions, and so therefore, no, you cannot share any documents. We've moved beyond those. All right. Are you on?
Y'all gave us the embargoes. Are y'all aware the embargo said not to move it, but by the health department? Does the embargo say that? I guess that's the only question we really have. Does the embargo say that?
Miss Maribel, there's no question. The agency can provide clarification at the end of this case. If you need clarification, the agency can the respective agencies can provide clarification if you do not understand. But where we are right now, it's you're being examined by your counsel. Your counsel, I think she has exhausted all the questions that she wished to ask you. And now it's time for the government to ask you some questions, ma'am. And once the government asks you some questions, I will give your counsel a final opportunity to redirect if there's any clarification to the record that she needs to make. So, Ms. Brown, do you have any questions that you wish to ask?
Yes, just a few. Ms. Maribel, you advertise cannabis products to district residents, don't you?
I didn't hear the question, Ms. Brown, because your Wi-Fi connection is spotty. So so can you ask the question again, ma'am?
Ms. Maribel, you advertise cannabis products to district residents, don't you?
Say again?
You advertise cannabis products to district residents. Isn't that true?
I advertise to the public, the general public, all across the United States. My Google ads run across the entire United States, and Leafly, which is a cannabis directory, it's for the entire United States. I don't have control over if it hits 4 square miles of the District of Columbia. I'm not in control of that. I'm not advertising to them directly. I have an email list of clients that I email and I reach out to them directly. Do all of them live in the District of Columbia? No. Some of them live in Texas. Some of them live in Florida. Some of them live in Maryland. Many of them live in Virginia.
You posted advertisements to your website on your district storefront, didn't you?
One more time.
You posted an invitation to visit your cannabis website on your district storefront, didn't you?
Absolutely. So as a business that's been in business since 2016, I do direct my clients, since the government has closed it, that they can still visit us online so that we can earn. Yes. Is it about cannabis specifically? No, we're also advertising that we sell tents so people can grow cannabis inside of it and nutrients to take care of the plants, as well as my company's paraphernalia with my rolling papers.
You also testified that you had cannabis products in your establishment on the day of the closure. Isn't that true?
Yes, I have my personal use of cannabis available to me and my medical patients, which are my staff. My staff they have medical concern. They have like liberty around it. It's not for sale to them. It's no remuneration to the staff.
And you are not licensed to provide medical marijuana to any person, are you?
We don't have medical marijuana. We just have cannabis. I don't know what medical marijuana is.
You
We do
stated
provide
that
medical marijuana.
your,
Is it different than cannabis, the plant that grows in nature? I didn't follow you.
you stated that, I'm sorry? You
I
stated
didn't
that
follow you.
your employees, you stated that your employees use cannabis for medical purposes and that you provide it and allow access to it in your shop. Isn't that correct?
I don't provide medical access because we don't have medical access in our store. We don't provide medical access.
Okay.
It's not a medical cannabis
No,
access as a word, as a sentence. No, we don't provide that.
no further questions.
Any questions by the board members? Any? Yes, Mr. Meadows.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Ms. Mirabal, you mentioned earlier that you had a policy and you informed the staff member uh, of the change in the policy. Do you have any documentation that would, usually when a business has their standards and their, orientation when you're new to a business, you get kind of like a little printout of what's expected of that employee and the policies of the business. And you were mentioning earlier in your testimony of the policy. I was just wondering if you had any documentation that would show that. You're on mute.
Yes, I do have it.
Okay.
I don't
Can you
have it
be able-
offhand. I would have to have Amber. We have like what is it called? Standard SOA.
Mhm.
Standard operating SOP. We have SOP for the staff. And we have like record for the employee. She had only been hired in under 60 days. I mean, we're talking about under 50 days. She spent 30 days working in another location and had just arrived to the store to start working. And she knew that in past times that we had been selling cannabis out of there under Cannabis Karma, but we stopped doing that. We pivoted and really have. I would love to share my website where we have gone and created like an entire we can fill a store with the products that we've already bought. We've already paid for them. The website is being developed. If you go to Cannabis Karma or go to Udo at Life Luxy, you'll see that our website has a variety of products that are no longer cannabis, solely cannabis ingestibles.
I appreciate that. I can't like search around, and I'm not the investigator. I'm just questioning. But I do question why within that initial, because from what I see is from March 27th up until October 19th, and especially when that first encounter with the Mr. Peru that nothing, no actions were taken on your behalf
We
within
did
that
take action.
14-day time period. Okay.
We did
I
take a
didn't hear
lot of
any of that.
action. We took a lot of action in March. When he came in March 24th, we went directly and applied to ABCA for our license. The undertaking of applying to ABCA for a license, like literally inundated my company. And in that moment, we also needed to apply, like reinstate our business license. I am one person. There's not another like C-level person amongst me. I'm the only one that would have to go and take care of all the ABCA stuff, go get my license, go apply for another license to even be permitted in the program. I'm a social equity applicant that got arrested in DC more than two times for cannabis. So I had until April 20th, but that's still only 20 days from March 24th until March 20th or 19th or 30th or something that was permitted to turn in your application. We're just a small business trying to do our best, honestly. And then from that time, from the last 7 months, the company reinvested the money that we're still making and we bought products that have nothing to do with cannabis. And I can share the website with you. Can I share it?
No, like I said, that's, you know, that I'm just going by today.
Okay, I understand.
And what's presented in front of us.
Yep.
So I hear what your response, and I thank you for that. And I have no further questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question by any of the board members? Ms. Brown, any questions in light of the questions that were asked by the board, ma'am? Ms. Maiden, do you have any further questions you wish to ask? Any redirect questions you need to ask your client, ma'am? You're on mute, ma'am. You need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I am unmuting. Yeah, I do have some questions for redirect. So, Ms. Maribel, can you tell us again why you still had cannabis product inside the store? I believe you had explained that it was because of your disability status. Can you explain that yet again? You're on mute. You are on mute.
Yep, I got it. Thank you. As I mentioned, I'm a 40% disabled. In my home, in my workplaces, around me, I typically have access to cannabis for myself. And so the things that were listed inside of the search warrant or the collection of things that were found, they're taking like my medicine, my own personal use of stuff that was inside of the backpack. And that's why it was in there, is for me to have access to it as a medical patient and disabled veteran.
And can you tell us about your compassionate care program and how that operates?
I'm gonna dissolve tonight. I don't want to talk about it at this moment.
Okay, that's fine. But is it fair to say you are not selling any cannabis product to district residents, but the cannabis product that you have sold is about wellness and health?
Yes.
And you have built quite a successful business model around that, and people seek out Cannabis Karma for that purpose.
Absolutely. And they have been, and since 2016, I'm under the impression they will persist to do this.
And so when you place the sticker, the barcode on the door, what was the intent with regard to that?
To ensure that our company can still earn and serve our collective. We have people that still grow cannabis and they want tents. We have people that want our fine jewelries that represent cannabis because it's legalized and they're excited to express themselves. We have infusion machines where people can take cannabis and process it into oil if that's their choice. We have batteries so people can go to a dispensary, buy a cartridge, and be able to use the battery to use it. We have books on Woman's Guide to Cannabis, a Cannabis Grower's Guide. All of these things are for the community so the community can have access to education, come to a Cannabis 101 class, learn how cannabis helps them. Our store manager graduated from Maryland's university program with a master's in cannabis science therapeutics. So her teaching a Cannabis 101 class is of a service to the public for safety.
Okay, I don't have any further questions for you.
Thank you, Ms. Maribel, for your testimony. All right. Ms. Maiden, do you have another witness?
I do not.
Do you rest?
I rest.
Do the parties wish to take a break before they do closing, or are the parties ready to I guess, well, let me ask a question. Do you have anything that, Mr. Bianca, do you have anything that you wish to state before we do closing?
No, sir.
Well, all right, do the parties wish to move forward immediately, or do they want to take a break?
I could do
Ms. Brown?
Prepared to close.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ms. Maiden?
either or. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, let's, all right, if the parties are right, let's do, we can do the closing. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Um, I would like to reserve 5 minutes for rebuttal if necessary.
All right, ma'am.
The government has proven to the board by substantial evidence on the record that Life Luxy and Cannabis Karma operated as an unlicensed cannabis retailer when it offered cannabis for sale, advertised cannabis on its storefront and on its website, and sold cannabis to an undercover buyer. In so doing, Cannabis Karma failed to comply with the board's July 10, 2024 cease and desist order, and thus presents an imminent danger to the health or safety of the public in violation of BC Code 7-1671.08G2C. You heard from Investigator Peru that after the board issued the cease and desist order, he observed Cannabis Karma violate the order on several occasions. First, since July of 2024, Investigator Peru has visited Cannabis Karma's website many times, which consistently advertised cannabis for sale. Second, after the establishment was padlocked on October 17th, signs were posted on the storefront to encourage customers to visit Cannabis Karma's website. That store is located within the District of Columbia. Third, recently, Investigator Peru was able to place an order for cannabis flowers through that website. Fourth, to this day, Cannabis Karma's website is still up and running. Additionally, Investigator Levy explained that prior to Cannabis Karma's closure, MPD purchased cannabis flower from the establishment through an undercover operation, and that purchased flower tested positive for THC. Based on that purchase, MPD obtained an executed search warrant on the same day the establishment was padlocked. That date was after the cease and desist order. The search revealed the exorbitant amount of cannabis flower and cannabis products the establishment had on its premises. Again, some of that product tested positive for THC. Now, if you don't want to take my witness's word as truth, you can look to what Ms. Mirabal has admitted to us today. That is that over the last 5 years, as she says, they have been selling cannabis. It is difficult to make a transition now. In other words, even though she has been informed that it is illegal to do such conduct, she cannot pivot and follow the district's law. Further, she's admitted to advertising to district residents at her storefront, on the website. She has admitted to shipping cannabis across the United States. And she's admitted to sharing her medical cannabis that she houses in the establishment with her employees. So therefore, Cannabis Karma presents an imminent danger to the health and safety of the public, and summary closure should be affirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Maiden?
Well, first of all, Miss Mirabel did not admit to shipping cannabis with THC within it across the United States. Cannabis Karma sells many types of products that are affiliated with cannabis use, and we have described what those products are. Those products are in the store right now. Some of it is jewelry, some of it is glassware, some of it is books, some of it may be seeds, some of it is CBD ointments that people use for ailments that they might have with their body. She is not selling anything that is not sold at Walmart or O Organics. It's funny that Walmart doesn't have to come into compliance with the law. or for that matter, yes, organics, this very strict law that ABCA wants to enforce. But a very small minority female owned business does. That is interesting. Um, Ms. Mirabal was always upfront with ABCA regarding her intent to apply for a cannabis license. Um, and from that point forward, she was specifically targeted by Mr. Peru for heavy enforcement with regard to ABCA's 24 legislation, which is new and, as Ms. Mirabal explained, confusing. ABCA did come into the store, but gave different kinds of instructions. Keep the product, get rid of the product. Well, which is it? It was not clear to Ms. Mirabal, and it was not clear to her employees what should be done with the product that was deemed illegal. They didn't touch it. So allegedly on Wednesday, October 9th, Mr. Peru coordinated with members of the Metropolitan Police Department's Narcotic Enforcement Unit team to conduct an undercover operation. We did not hear from that undercover officer with regard to that alleged illegal sale. We only heard from, as I understand, his supervisor, who wrote a report that was never provided to Ms. Maribel, nor was that very thorough search warrant ever provided to Miss Mirabal or to Miss Hale, who was on site the day that the store was searched. So Ms. Mirabal has denied that any Life Luxy employee was authorized to sell any cannabis products to the public. Um, and she wasn't privy to the activity or the conversation that took place between this employee and the alleged undercover officer. We don't really know, as neither of those individuals have testified, so we don't know what actually happened. The employee resigned on October 17th, on the day that ABCA and the DC MPD searched and closed the store. As she explained, the cannabis products are only available for personal use by Ms. Mirabal and the employees. That is perfectly legal under DC law for people to have personal use of cannabis for their own medical issues. That is legal. People, and it's fine to gift cannabis to other people as well. So that is what Miss Mirabal has done with the cannabis that she has on site. It's against Life Luxy's policy to sell cannabis flower to the general public, and there was no intent to break any laws with regard to the sale of the cannabis product within the district. On Thursday, October 10th, Mr. Peru alleged that he checked ABCA records and confirmed that Nalia, doing business as Cannabis Karma, applied for a medical cannabis retail license, but was denied on September 11th. So there was never this intent to evade the law as is being implied. On Thursday, October 17th, Mr. Peru, along with the District of Columbia Metropolitan Police Department, entered 825 Upshur Street with an alleged search warrant, which was improperly executed, and search and seize merchandise and private property, which was located within the retail establishment. The warrant was improperly executed because neither Ms. Maribel nor Davina Hale, the store manager, was provided with a copy for review during the search, despite Ms. Hale being present. Ms. Mirabal, the owner of the store, was not present at the time the search was conducted. However, Ms. Hale was at the store at the time the search was conducted. She was at the premises while it was searched by law enforcement officers on the scene. She was never provided any copy of any search warrant that allegedly authorized the search of the premises. And she was not given the opportunity to review the said warrant and ensure that the search was being lawfully executed. Under DC Code Section 23521, law enforcement officers must present a copy of the search warrant to individuals at the premises. In the testimony today, the officer, I believe his name was Mr. Leedy, testified that they did not provide Ms. Hale with the warrant to review it. And Mr. Peru was aware that Ms. Hale was the store manager due to prior investigations of the premises, and he failed to instruct the officer to do this. Instead, the premises were entered with 6 or 7 officers armed with AK-47 weapons, although from prior inspections of the premises, Mr. Peru was well aware that there were only 1 or 2 female employees at the store, and as was testified today, there is no indication that there is any violence of any kind and there was any need for those kinds of weapons. Miss Hale was not allowed to inspect the warrant. She was not informed of her rights to refuse a search of her person, which did occur. She wasn't named in the warrant. As far as we know, her civil rights were therefore violated when she was briefly detained in handcuffs during the search. After the police determined that Ms. Hill's presence was no longer needed, she was released from handcuffs and told that she was free to go. At no time was she provided with any documentation regarding the search that occurred or informed that she could review any warrant with regard to the search. Once she exited the building, the store's security cameras recorded ABCA and DC MPD officers conducting their search, and this footage shows that during the search, they changed the internal and external locks within the outside of the store and did not re-secure the rollaway security door at the back of the building, significantly compromising the store's security. A special tamper-proof steel door had been ordered and designed for the 825 Upshur store, but ABCA and the DC MPD removed and damaged that specialized lock for this door. On the evening of October 17th, Ms. Mirabal observed via the security camera recordings that the store had been left in an unsecured state and called the company locksmith in order to re-secure the store. As a result of ABCA's actions, the closure of the 825 Upshur Street store and notification that has been placed. Well, I also wanted to add that besides putting a simple padlock on a 500-pound steel door, ABCA did not secure the ADT. They left the ADT security system disabled, and this caused vandalism. And the police, Ms. Mirabal had to contact the police department with regard to this vandalism. As a result of ABCA's actions, the closure of the 825 Upshur Street store and notification placed on the ABCA storefront, the owner and landlord of the Upshur property seeks to terminate Ms. Mirabal's lease. And the store currently contains valuable retail items, including high-end diamond, gold, and platinum jewelry, high-end cannabis paraphernalia, devices, clothes, display furniture, totaling an estimated worth of $500,000. And it's all in jeopardy as due to ABCA's improper seizure and inadequate securing of the premises. While a search warrant allows for the search of a location and seizure of specific items, it does not permit a government agency to search a person not named in the warrant and or to seize an entire location and or disrupt the location security systems, jeopardizing lawful property contained on site. Furthermore, as the alleged warrant was executed improperly, it's invalid. And Ms. Mirabal has requested that ABCA return all the items seized under the improperly executed warrant. And Ms. Mirabal has never received an itemized list of the property or cash that was removed from her store. On October 24th, in a direct inquiry via letter to Martha Jenkins and Shani Brown, who is with us today, Ms. Mirabal sought clarification with regard to the legal authority that ABCA was relying on to deny her access to her store. and she inquired as to what steps ABCA was going to take to ensure the safety and security of the store after dismantling the security system within the store. And Ms. Mirabal has received no response with regard to that to date. So she is waiting for a response as to what can be done to secure the store. At this time, Ms. Mirabal is requesting re-entry into the retail store located at 825 Upshur Avenue, not so that she can properly secure the premises and continue to operate a retail store that does not sell any illegal cannabis products. As Ms. Mirabal does not have the capability to operate, she does have the capability to operate a retail store that offers a number of products other than cannabis. And since July of 2024, Ms. Mirabal has made a concerted effort to obtain a license to sell cannabis and to pivot to a business model where she is not selling any cannabis products out of the 825 Upshur location. But it is a process, as it takes time and money to pivot to an entirely different business model with a company other than what a company has grown accustomed to. It is Ms. Mirabal's contention that while she has been in this process of attempting to comply with DC's new cannabis legislation, she has been unfairly targeted by ABCA in a way that larger companies have not. And the improperly executed search warrant is problematic as it calls into question the legality and the accuracy of all ABCA activity. ABCA cannot seize someone else's property without exercising due process, and the improperly executed search warrant was a failure of due process. So, such a failure of due process establishes grounds for a lawsuit in federal court, and businesses that have been targeted in this way in other states have effectively shown due process violations in federal court and have been given their businesses back. For this reason, Ms. Mirabal is entitled to resume possession of her store. And with that, I rest.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Brown, do you wish to, or you give up? But I don't mean it. I don't mean it that way. I know you had reserved some time. Do you want to pursue so that time, or do you rest?
I just will make a few statements. Cannabis Karma wants this board to focus on entirely irrelevant subjects: how the search warrant was executed, the intent of the establishment to become licensed to sell cannabis, that the employee apparently, resigned the day of the closure. But board members, please focus on what is at hand. That is that you issued an order ceasing and desisting this establishment from selling cannabis on July 10th of 2024. Subsequently, in October, an undercover buy was successful, and they were able to purchase cannabis, which tested positive for THC. Therefore, the board's order was violated, and this establishment presents an imminent danger to public safety, public health, and the district. Please affirm summary closure. Thank you.
Thank you. The record is now closed. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, in accordance with DC Official Code Section 2575 of the Open Meetings Act, I move that ABC Board hold a closed meeting for the purpose of seeking legal advice from our counsel on case number 24 ULC 00036, Cannabis Karma Life Lux, pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2575B4A of the Open Meetings Act, and deliberating upon case number 24 ULC 00036, Cannabis Karma Life Luxy, For the reasons cited in DC Official Code Section 2575B13 of the Open Meetings Act, is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion before us now that it's been seconded. Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Meadows, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 3-0. As it appears that the motion has passed, I hereby give notice that ABC Board will recess its proceedings to hold a closed meeting pursuant to Section 2575 of the Open Meetings Act. I want to thank both parties for their presentation today, and the board will issue a decision, I believe, in 3 days. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, I need to go back on our calendar and correct the record. Case number, there's a summary action for case number 24 ULC 00043, the Safe House unlicensed cannabis retailer. This hearing has been continued to December 12th, 2024 at 11:30 a.m. So December 12th, 2024 at 11:30 a.m. All right. We've now just dispensed with our calendar for the day, and so let me close the record. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, in accordance with Title III, Chapter 405, Office of Open Government, I move that ABC Board hold a closed meeting on November 20th for the purpose of discussing and hearing reports concerning ongoing or planned investigations of alleged criminal or civil misconduct or violations of law or regulations, and seeking legal advice from our legal counsel on the board's investigative agenda, legal agenda, and licensing agenda for November 20th, as published in the DC Register on November 15th.
Mr. Meadows, I second.
I have, hold on, Mr. Meadows, hold on. Hold on. All right. Is there a second? You can go ahead.
Mr. Meadows, I second.
Mr. Meadows has seconded the motion. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion before it now has been properly seconded. Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Meadows, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. As it appears that the motion has passed 3-0, I hereby give notice that ABC Board will hold this closed meeting. Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, notice will also be posted on the ABC Board here in the room bulletin board, placed on electronic calendar on ABCA's website, and published in DC Register in as timely a manner as practical. I want to thank the members of the public who participated in our hearings today. I would also want to thank our board members who participated in our hearings today. We are now adjourned for the day. I now ask all board members to return to executive session for further action. Good afternoon. Thank you.